Welcome back, my fellow Supergenes. Today's guest has 6 kids, including twins. She built a global fitness platform and she keeps her discipline like most people keep promises. And she changed the way that I see my own body. Kat Diab is the founder of Method by Kat, an exercise sports scientist who has spent over 20 years building something super rare, which is a method that works for women's bodies, women's schedules, and women's lives across every season. Today isn't just another fitness conversation. It's a blueprint for becoming the strongest version of you. And it starts with unleashing your fortitude gene for maximum mental strength, endurance, perseverance. Kat, welcome to Supergene Unleashed.
Oh, Stacy, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. I'm so happy that I'm able to be here and have a nice chat with you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it sure has. And I actually really want to set the tone here by sharing my own anecdote of working with you and how I came to you, honestly feeling super desperate for getting my shape back on track before my wedding. And it's not like I was super out of shape. I thought that I was really doing it all right. I was doing all kinds of exercise. And honestly, I was probably working out like 6 days a week, but it just wasn't working anymore for me. And I wasn't seeing the results that I was used to. And when I came to you, I honestly had felt like, okay, this is the reality that I have to accept. But then once we started our PTs, the body transformation was incredible. And I had a body transformation, which really surprised me. So I want to ask you, for women who are like me that tried so many different things that failed and then finally found your method, what's the one thing that you consistently see that has gone wrong?
Okay. I'm going to start by saying I have noticed, and what I constantly see lately, because I think that too has changed over the last couple of decades and what my experience, especially post-COVID, what I see is exhaustion. I see women trying to force themselves now into methods that create more inflammation, more stress, more guilt around movement, and more inconsistency instead of consistency. And that's something that I talk about a lot, consistency in your structure, in your schedule. So I'm seeing and have seen since COVID that exhaustion is probably the most common thread amongst women, trying every modality and, not being able to find themselves in that practice. And the biggest shift inside MBK is we stop fighting our body and we start working with it. And that's something that I continue to relay to women, especially new women coming into MBK. I want women to, feel supported instead of punishing themselves time and time again because of the guilt. I'm trying this, I'm trying that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm doing everything right, and nothing is working. So I think that's probably been the constant that I see in women, in busy women. Yes.
Yeah, that's something I really didn't expect to hear, actually, because, but it sounds very valid that so many women are exhausted. And I think I felt that a little bit too, actually, but more so my exhaustion was from the fact that I was trying all these things and I just wasn't seeing the right results. And that actually leads me to the next question, which is about your method in particular, that what you have specifically designed is for a women's biology and it's not adapted from men's training. So when we think about it from that perspective, actually, many people probably don't think about that. They just, don't actually know that many training programs are just, built for men. But can you talk about what the core difference is that maybe most people don't realize?
Sure. Look, I think be it male or female, we all need the basics to work on, which are the fundamentals, which are strength, mobility and flexibility. I think, be it female or male, we should all look at incorporating these three pillars in our movement practice. But in later, as in more recent years, we have gone further when it comes to movement and the research behind it, specifically for women. We have understood that our nervous system needs regulation. We need more attention to our recovery. We have more research around our hormonal issues and way to support them and how to balance them. And movement plays a big role in that. So most traditional like fitness methods are built around output only. So I remember when I first started outside of university, it was all about more intensity, more volume, and more overload. And most men, I think, still structure their workouts based upon those principles. But for us women to really thrive in all areas, be it not only aesthetically, but emotionally, mentally, and most importantly, hormonally, because we go through different phases, we need to look at our body differently. Yes, muscle is the longevity in our well-being. So putting that aside, what about mobility for the later on stages of our life? What about flexibility, being able to bend and reach when you're 50, 60, and 70? What about nervous system support and being able to learn how to regulate? So MBK has evolved, obviously, over the 2 decades of my experience. But more importantly, training the female body. We have shifted from taking the blueprint from male researched and basic training, and we are evolving it to make it more specific for women's needs. Yes, aesthetics do still count. We still want to focus on looking and feeling good, but we are not going to look and feel good when internally we're creating a bit of havoc by picking maybe modalities that suit the male biology, physiology. So MBK, at the core of MBK will always be strength. So we always add value by having resistance training, and that's using a variety of tools to make things exciting and fun, but as well intentional and beneficial. And then we really do work on mobility, flexibility, and incorporate other layers, like I said, nervous system regulation, hormonal support, all that lovely stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, you can really tell the thought that you have put behind crafting this kind of movement. And more, we see that the fitness world is full of noise, full of different trainers and influencers and contradictory advice. And it's really tough to navigate. And obviously, you have been in the space for a very long time. So you've seen that proliferation from what it used to be to what it is right now, but also all of that confusion coming into play. How does a woman know who to actually trust? And what would you advise her in terms of what she should be looking for from a trainer? And, what is some influential advice that is, oh my gosh, made you laugh incredibly hard because it couldn't be further from the truth?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think like for me, advice that I even give my clients is a good coach or leader should educate their clients, not create dependency. So if you only can train or self-motivate or get on the mat because you're seeing me, that's creating a dependency. I have an online platform, so we have subscribers that don't get to see me face to face. But through the platform, we still educating women to be independent when it comes to their body and structuring their workouts. So I believe good coaches. So for women out there, I think red flags for me are things like, fear-based coaching. That's a big red flag for me. But also coaches that don't educate the individual so they're not dependent on the coach, that you take the credibility, you become independent in being able to make choices for your body. And I think Another thing is sustainability, women should be able to pick a method that they can sustain, that is something that becomes a part of their daily practice and routine. Like I talk about habits. I think if someone is selling you a quick fix or a fad movement or something that's just been trending for now, and it doesn't look like something that you can incorporate in your daily routine, well, then that's not going to last. The results aren't going to come because nothing comes quite quickly. Results happen through implementation of consistency and structure. So hence why, like I said, MBK, we have the online platform to create independence and education around your own body and awareness, but also to give you back the license to be able to take control of your own body, be independent, understand and want to move it for yourself. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of, like I said, fear-based coaching, and I'm not a fan of coaches not creating educated clients. So that's my probably biggest thing. And as for fitness fads, I've come across quite a few that have made me laugh in recent, and I wish I could just remember them all. But I'm just going to throw this in because it's a recent one. I've had multiple discussions about it. Peptides has been a big thing out in the market now. So I am a little bit more holistic approach when it comes to wellness and fitness for women specifically. Like I believe that you need to have the foundation first before you start even supplementing, even before adding things like electrolytes. Have the foundation first. Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating and nourishing your body? Are you moving? Have the foundations first, have the basics first, and make sure that they are implemented as habits, as your daily routine. Like you would get up and brush your teeth, you're going to get up and plan your meal or move your body or hydrate. So peptides for me is a big laugh because I see on social media and influencers, pumping out their promo codes and saying, I'm taking this peptide and this is why I look like this and I'm, doing this and I'm doing that. When the education behind it should be, most of these influencers and fitness trainers actually look the way they look because they put in hours, time, years, decades behind nutrition and fitness, and they look that certain way to be able to promote, that peptide. So no peptide is going to give you consistency. No peptide is going to give you motivation. No peptide is going to give you the patience with yourself to be able to be in it for long haul. So I think that one for me is my biggest pet peeve at the moment.
I thought maybe you were going to say the vibration plate because I see
right.
so many people using that. And I actually don't even know anything about it, but it seems pretty funny. I see a lot of influencers posting about I'm standing on my vibration plate for 10 minutes every morning.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you brought that up, Stacy, because there's another part of me that whatever gets you up and wanting to do something consistency, like I said, creating these habits. Like if women are getting up and getting on their vibration plate every single day and then jumping off it and feeling better, then I'm okay with that. Even though I don't do it. I don't believe in vibration plates. I don't think that they have the benefit that they say they do, right? But again, I haven't tried them. I do other things to help support my lymphatic system and my digestive system. I don't need to sit on that plate. But if there is women out there that are, like I said, creating habits, positive habits, and walking away feeling good, then jump on that vibration plate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is actually the perfect segue to where I want to go next. And that's really talking about discipline. But you also kept saying a word that I think is something that so many people forget in their fitness journey, and that is habit. And, you talk a lot about habit and consistency. And oftentimes people kind of mistake that for discipline, where, Kat is just super disciplined. She must have, an exorbitant amount of willpower. And some people honestly might think that discipline is either something that you have or you don't. So I do want to crack into a little bit about discipline and no, because certainly we're human. Not everything is perfect. And what does it actually look like behind the scenes on a hard day or, where something just doesn't go according to plan?
Yeah, gosh, what? I'm glad you bring this up because it's made to look very different on social media because we have to paint pretty pictures, obviously, to get through to people these days. But discipline is rarely glamorous. It actually can look quite ugly at times, right? So most days it's not motivation and it's that gets me up or gets things going for my day. It's structure. It comes down to that. It is structure and routine. It's choosing the basics like over and over again: movement, hydration, sleep, nourishment, showing up even when things feel chaotic. And in my household, things feel chaotic 80% of the time. So what keeps that chaos in check is structure, is routine. So, like I said, discipline is rarely glamorous. Discipline is waking up and knowing that making the choices over and over again that I know are going to benefit me from a physical point of view, an emotional point of view, an internal point of view. Making those choices is the discipline, is the habit, and is the structure. But I've learned that discipline doesn't mean perfection either. It's not that at all. It means just returning to the habits and to the basics again and again and again, returning to myself, choosing the habits that made me feel good over, the decades that I've been in the industry, choosing those habits consistently. So I guess that's what discipline means to me. And like I said, it's chaos. It can be chaotic. My husband and I both run businesses. There's 6 kids involved in our daily planning and our schedule. There's always someone that needs to be somewhere. But what keeps us going is structure more than anything, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's not a glamorous answer,
No,
but
I
it
wish it
is
was.
true. It is true. But one of the things that you said actually really resonates because I think so many times, people can start a journey in fitness, which is what we're talking about, obviously, and then they fall off the tracks. And I think that when someone falls off the tracks, they have 2 choices. Either they can go into the black hole and return to old habits that don't serve them in a positive way, or something that you said, you can just kind of come right back on track. Like you said something about that, even if it falls off the track, you just pick back up the habits. You try to incorporate as many base habits as possible that are positive for your health and well being. And I think that that's really amazing advice because it's not overwhelming and you don't need to make yourself feel bad, right? Like if you fall off the tracks, you miss, let's say, a week of working out, it's very easy. Pick back up the next week with 1 or 2 workouts. So I wanted to actually ask you, how do you teach people to form better habits when it comes to working out and these kind of things? Like for somebody who maybe has no structure, no discipline, and no really routine, how do you start helping them to embed some of these habits into their life?
Well, I think you said it also perfectly. It's a choice. At the end of the day, picking either a good habit or a bad habit comes down to choice. And we are very fortunate to be able to have the ability to make choices. Now, I start to put into the equation, how does each choice make you feel? When we pick a habit, and I don't like to use bad, but when we pick a habit that doesn't serve us or it's not giving us the purpose that we want, how do we feel about that? And then you get your answer. But when we pick or choose something that benefits us or leaves us with an experience or makes us feel better, whatever that may be. I always talk to my clients or online about we have the choice. You just need to decipher and which choice is the one that leaves you feeling better. And I love what you said, and I'm just going to elaborate on that. What I try to encourage women to do, like falling off the track, because everyone does that. I do it too. At nearly 46 years old and like 24 years later in wellness and fitness, I haven't been on track 100% of the time in 24 years. Absolutely not. I've had fallbacks, hitting rock bottom, as in with my body, having burnouts and all that lovely stuff. But what I encourage women to do is just pick one habit that you can promise yourself to be consistent with. And it could be as simple as waking up in the morning and getting some daily sunlight. That could be your enough as step one. It could be committing to go for a walk for 10 minutes just that day and then schedule it in for the following day, not directly the day after, maybe the following day. And slowly start implementing and having more of a collection of habits that you can put together, or start extending the time of these habits. So it's not forcing someone to get up and you have to strength train. No, let's start by just getting you feeling back. Let's get the rhythm back. Let's get to feeling better about the choices we are making. So that's where I would encourage women. Because like I said a little earlier, one thing I don't like is the fear-based coaching, and the noise on social media is loud. And we have different degrees of loudness. Like we have coaches screaming, just do this. And then you have the other hybrid coaches that are like weaving in and out of messages. I'm a little bit more practical and I am realistic. It takes time. It takes time to develop habits. So understand that. My biggest also teaching is, which I feel has been lost, we don't have the patience for ourselves anymore. Everyone wants things yesterday, the result, that wants the habit to kick in right now. I just trained today. I need to be able to train tomorrow. It may not be like that. So I like to encourage patience and taking it step by step.
Yeah, patience really strikes a chord with me, especially thinking about women who have navigated pregnancy. And obviously, you have 6 kids. We're both twin moms. I'm in my postpartum era. And a lot of women face that chapter of life, and it can be very difficult to weather that storm because you really lose your body and you lose a lot of strength. And, again, back to the social media. I don't want to make this about social media, but it can be difficult navigating that postpartum period. And you see so many people postpartum and they make it look like they're just back to normal as soon as they leave the delivery room. So I really want to talk directly to women who are returning to themselves after pregnancy. And even maybe it could be burnout or it could be illness or just a long absence from who they were. What do you tell them about where to begin? And more importantly, what do you tell them to let go of? Maybe it is what you just said about letting go of that instantaneous result. But can you talk to me a little bit about how someone can kind of begin when they're in this really vulnerable place?
Yeah. Look, I celebrate people wanting goals and wanting results. And I know, again, we're in an era where it's all about internally how we're feeling, how we're navigating through our movement practices, like I said, regulating our nervous system and all that. But at the end of the day, I am an aesthetics coach. So I love goals. I do love goals and I encourage them. So someone, like you said, you and I, we both are twin mums, and my postpartum experience with twins was very different to when having single babies. My advice from personal experience is letting go of your past image aesthetically, of what you once had aesthetically, what you once achieved aesthetically. I say let go first appreciate that you had that experience and you were able to be at whatever stage you were back then. And then pivot and then think about what you can gain from the experience of being pregnant, having a baby, getting out of, that phase. Postpartum journey is challenging, not just physically. I think it is a lot more challenging mentally and emotionally than physically. But I always encourage women to let go of the image that they once had, because that's the past. That's already gone. That's happened. And think about what we can gain from the experience that we just had. So wanting to be a lot stronger than what we once were prior to having our beautiful children, because now our body has gone through trauma, delivery, pregnancy, having a human being growing inside us. So all that, I think of that as just strength. I love that. I think of that as not as a negative at all, but I think of it as the biggest positive. You start again down the bottom, and being able to rebuild into this new phase of yourself, I think is exciting. I really encourage women to get excited about the outcome, what could possibly be, because you've never been there. You didn't have a baby prior. You weren't in a postpartum journey. You weren't this way hormonally. You weren't this way physically. So think about the possibilities. And once you have found, I believe, the modality that really aligns with you and you feel good after each and every session sequence, and the practices that you've incorporated in your daily structure and routine, when these things feel good, we start to shift from just wanting the aesthetic goal and we start wanting the I feel good goal. How do I maintain this every single day? How do I keep feeling good every single day? So they're the practices that I like to encourage, because they're the ones that really saved me in my postpartum experience. And I've had like 6 kids, 5 pregnancies. Each and every one was very, very different, because I was at different ages as well of my life. But the recent one, I was nearly 40 when I had the boys, and the experience was very, very different. And I too had to pivot and think, Kat, don't look back. You didn't have a single pregnant. It wasn't a single child pregnancy. It was a double. So now get excited about the possibility of not regaining, becoming stronger, becoming healthier, becoming fitter, becoming more capable. It was more about becoming, not about regaining, because that was done. That chapter was closed.
Wow. I mean, I really hope that this message can reach so many women postpartum, because honestly, the way that you just spoke about this so passionately, I feel better myself, because it's something that I really didn't think about. Because I would say, since I am in the postpartum twin phase, 8.5 months right now, I am still mourning the previous, but the way that you have now encouraged about becoming is such a joyful message. I, can look forward to, yeah, as you said, focusing on the positive. And I think that the sum of what you said as well is really that us women, we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we have done. And also, I'm not just saying credit like, oh, I did this, but credit to our bodies and gratitude that our body was able to, bring another life into this world. And, this really shifts into something that I really want to talk about, which is all about the internal shift. And this is what, really kind of transcends fitness. So it's obvious that, through the fitness, we see physical transformation, but you're starting to tap into something that I think is so important to women as a theme, and that is identity. And I can imagine that throughout the course of your time working with women, you see that shift in a woman's identity when she starts showing up for herself. And you helped me reach the strongest version of myself. And so I want to ask you about witnessing that internal shift and what happens when a woman starts feeling strong and not just looking strong. Because I'm sure that you've seen women who have gone through the mental shift alongside the physicals. So why does that, kind of change everything for them when the mental goes through it too?
Yeah. Um, First of all, I was very fortunate that you chose me to be your coach and to guide you through such an important part of your life. And it was not only an experience for you, but truly an experience for me. And I definitely like to create that for all my clients, because the investment that you make is as equally the investment that I make into every individual, even on the online platform. Being subscribers, I may not know everyone, but the investment that I make into the experience is one that I put heart and soul into. So when it comes to, I think I've been very fortunate to be able to physically and hear and read messages of these transformations, going from women going aesthetically strong, and then, like I said, that shift goes and then it becomes more about that internal strength. And it's been beautiful in my experience and in my years of being in fitness. I think what I have found, especially in the recent times when we've gone through phases of that, getting strong, getting aesthetically strong, and then we went through that strong skinny thing, and women didn't want muscles, and you can't look masculine and all this. But what I find as a collective is when women let go of all the what I must look like or what I must have, when you let go of that and you really truly just embody what it is you're experiencing, there's this internal strength. You show up, and I think of it like a conference table. And I remember a meeting. I'm sidetracking, I know, but I remember a meeting. I was in front of a whole bunch of lawyers in a boardroom, but one particular lawyer stood out to me energetically, because when she came to the board table and showed up, you can tell she had a confidence from within, and she commanded that boardroom with the energy, not from the physicalness. There were other women standing by her side that could have aesthetically looked a lot stronger, in my opinion, from their stance, from their build, from all that. But this woman that stood up in that boardroom, her energy, that internal strength, it was as if I've showed up. I'm in control. I'm in command here. And like I said, I think when women let go of what I must look like, what I should be doing, what I have to do, you start to embody the strength internally to be able to show up. And you show up like that boardroom lawyer. You show up in command of yourself, independently, as an individual. And that's what I love seeing. I see these transformations. Women come to me sometimes a little bit broken because of the experience that they're having, like women who have just delivered, or women who have tried every modality and have got an event that they want to show up their best in. So they come a little broken, but they leave independent. They leave confident. They leave being able to make decisions for their own body and making choices on how to move it, how to strengthen it, how to develop it. And that's big transformations and transitions that I have seen, especially in recent time.
That must be so rewarding to witness these transformations, because it must make you feel so good that, someone was able to make such a big shift in their life. And I really love hearing that. But I want to shift one last time to a question about a woman who might be listening, who is in that place that you just described, a little bit broken, starting from scratch, maybe feeling intimidated about, what should she do next, but knowing that, fitness is something that would probably make her feel better. What would be the most powerful thing that she could do this week to begin?
Make a choice for yourself, for no one else, not for your partner, husband, mum, dad, son, daughter, not for anyone else. It's your life. It is your body. It is the only one that we are fortunate to have. And if you have capabilities and you have opportunities and you can make a choice today, tomorrow, over the weekend, start with one small little habit. And it may not be a habit. It might just be a try. Just go try. Go try something. Get a little bit maybe uncomfortable to get comfortable. Call a friend, go for a walk, or ask a friend to pick a class and make her book the class, and then you have to show up. So make a choice. That's all it is. And we have choices. I don't want to call them good and bad, but we have choices. Try and make a choice that you're going to walk away from feeling really good. Let that experience support you feeling really, really good. So if it's movement, it's movement. If it's a walk, it's a walk. If it's preparing a meal, like jump on the MBK website, pick a meal. We've got so many beautiful recipes on our platform. And I say to women, if it's not the movement part that you're ready for, maybe it's the nutrition part. Pick a recipe, try a new recipe, see how that makes you feel. So make a choice. It's your body. It is your life. And you're the one that, again, is the one that is navigating it. Just make a choice. And I'm sure it's going to be a great one.
Gosh, Kat, thank you so much. I think this is the perfect place to leave it. I'm sure that we could continue talking for so much longer. But honestly, this conversation is exactly why I started this show. And, really to help empower women to be their best selves. And I feel so motivated. So before we go, for all the listeners, can you just quickly tell everyone the best place to find you?
Yes, of course. Well, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me to be able to speak and share a little bit of my story in MBK with your listeners. And I do think what you're doing is so needed in the social media, let's call it social media space. I love that. I love that we can have these kind of discussions and that you're bringing together a collective of women who have a variety of perspectives and knowledgeable things to share. And I love that for women moving forward. So thank you, Stacey, so much. But as for people who are interested in, seeing a little bit more of me, we have our MBK website and app, which is Method by Kat. And then, of course, on social media, I'm on Instagram, again, as Method by Kat. And I was forced to start a TikTok account, but I'm not very active on that. I promised the staff that I was going to be a little bit more active, but we're still figuring that out. But definitely Instagram and on the MBK platforms, both website and app. So
Great. Thank you so much. And to everyone listening, fortitude isn't a trait. It's a choice. As Kat said, it's a choice that you make every single day. And you have heard what it looks like in practice. So now go live it. Until next time, my fellow Supergenes.